Yeah, from my perspective here, wrapping up the weekend, obviously disappointed in the outcome of the game. I think at times throughout the stretch of that football game, we played really, really good. But I knew this was going to be a game that came down to details when it came to the matching the physicality of that team and then ultimately handling the little situational things. And I think in a game where statistically it was pretty even across the board, there's one statistic that matters, and that was a scoreboard, and we didn't get enough points. We got to do a better job offensively, figuring it out in the red zone and being able to come away with touchdowns there. We got the ball at the 18-yard line, on one series and end up with it back past the 35-yard line in a driving wind, and really hard spot to put yourself in. Little details on defense. We can't jump off sides. We found that we do that on fourth down, and the next play, it's an explosive play for a touchdown. So the little things came to haunt us here in a bad way, and in a nip and tuck football game against a good team, those things can't show up, and we got to take those off the tape. So turning our focus here to NIU, obviously we got to have a great week of practice here. Got to handle the midweek stuff here and the transition between, what a Saturday to Saturday routine is to what Saturday till November 5th or next Wednesday, however you look at that, and get a little bit of time to heal some injured guys, get some time to focus on what needs to happen, as the calendar changes as it pertains to academics, and then ultimately, get ready for a stretch run here of, 4 straight conference football games where, we've got to go win them. And, we've got to improve as a team consistently here from day to day and week to week and in many areas, but everything that we want to do right here is still in front of us, and we've got to have a good plan of what that looks like. So that being said, I'll take your questions.
What do you think the main focus will be just in this, I'll call it a mini bye?
Yeah, I think that, players have a lot of things that are going on around them when it comes to schoolwork and, get a chance to catch their breath a little bit. Some guys that are banged up, got to get in the training room and get right and get healthy and allow themselves to be as close to 100% as possible as it pertains to next Wednesday night. The staff, we got to do some heavy lifting here on what it looks like for, the now, and then we're using these couple practices here, prior to getting totally involved in the game week on, working on some of our younger guys and some skill development things that, where I feel like our fundamentals have caught up to us here a little bit in the sense that got to get back to some of the basic things. So, a complicated puzzle, if you would, but, and a lot of moving parts, but, there isn't a day off if that's, I guess is probably the best way of putting it.
Let's talk about, since the key in a lot of these road games, or really all of them, is third down conversions. I wrote down 7 of 17 at Kentucky, 5 of 18 at Western Michigan, 3 of 13 at BGSU, and 6 of 16 at Washington State. Just what from a coaching perspective is the adjustment that's needed to correct that, especially on the road?
Well, I think you can always look yourself in the mirror and try to put your team in better situations. That's first and foremost. Secondly, when we have the opportunity to make the plays that we got to make them. And you can't. The last thing I think, and it pertains to all phases, or both sides of the football, like you can't gift anybody anything in those scenarios. You can't give up a sack. You can't jump off sides. You can't. You can't fail to do your job in a critical moment. So, some players have been in those situations before. Others have not, on a consistent basis. So, we've got to own those. We've got to continue to put our guys in positions in those positions in practice and make it hard on them and make it strenuous on the coaches and the players to be better in those scenarios. We got to do a better job.
No matter what, the outside noise might be, how do you focus your team on the now and the present, just kind of drown all of that out after, a week like this past Saturday?
Well, I think that if you don't talk about focusing on the now in January and you just start to talk about it in the end of October, that's going to be a really hard message to hit home for anybody. So, look, I'll say it again, I don't pound my chest here after wins, and I'm not going to bury my head in the sand after a loss. We have to tell ourselves the truth in both scenarios. We have to find the good in both scenarios. We have to identify the bad in both scenarios, whether it's a picture of adversity or it's a picture of prosperity. There's a truth to be told that is not totally on one side or the other. So we've got to do a good job as a staff to relay that message to our players. Our players' challenge of living in the now is harder right now at this time of the year for a senior player than it is at the beginning of the year. Many of these guys are, where are you going to be in January? Where are you going to live at? My lease of my apartment's up. School's ending. I'm graduating. I've already graduated. Where am I going to be at? What's that going to look like? That's a difficult task to get guys to live in the moment, live in the now. But look, that's life. You don't always go. It doesn't always go how you want it to go and how you project it to go. And ultimately, like I said, numerous times, you'll be ultimately defined by your response.
And then lastly, for me, just talk about what you've seen from NIU. I mean, obviously a bit of a struggling team there as of late, but just talk about like what you've seen from them, just scouting them so far.
Dominant run game Saturday, 318 yards rushing. That's not struggling. That's dictating the pace of the football game and owning the line of scrimmage and to get a win, an in-conference win. So physical team that's going to try to impose their will on you. They're going to line up. They're going to try to hit you in the mouth and move the chains, in an aggressive, tough, manner. And, we've had a lot of battles here, over my time at Toledo with this football team. So I know what you're getting. I know what Thomas Hammock preaches and tries to instill in his kids about the physical toughness of what a football team and what a game should look like. And that'll be a tremendous challenge for us.
Looking at Wednesday night, I know the athletic department has done a good job of trying to get people in. Obviously, Wednesday nights are tough to get people in. But what are you anticipating in terms of a crowd, but also knowing that this is the one home game during the week that you guys have on the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, these are rare opportunities, to be able to showcase our university and showcase our city on a national stage. There's, most games are all games are televised, but, you don't get the prime time spot where there's, maybe one other game, on per night. And you've seen that the last couple of weeks with some of the, Conference USA or Sun Belt games that have been going on in the midweek. Like, it's a big deal for, G5 football. I mean, this is an opportunity to showcase your team to potential recruits. It's an opportunity to showcase your city and your university to whoever may be watching out there. This is going to reach a lot of people in a lot of different homes. So hopefully it's a great crowd. Hopefully we do a great job of handling our part and putting a great product on the field, and it's a win for everybody.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously continuing to grow and adjust as a team. You guys have played very well at home. Does that kind of add any, I guess, more, not confidence, but just affirmation knowing that you guys have played so well already here at the Glass Bowl?
I mean, again, I think we look at it as looking ourselves in the mirror on what has to get fixed, what has to be done to play better, no matter where the game is at. We've had some one-sided wins at home, but there's been a lot of mistakes in those games too, and I think if you don't pay attention to those things, you don't have a chance to improve. And, we're striving to improve each and every week, and that's, really our focus has been on that. And I don't think you have time or, it's foolish to waste energy in putting it anywhere else.
You talk about the week grind Saturday, you're transitioning to action, like she said, with the mini bye. Was the trip to Washington State kind of like a positive to get that time change, get out of the regular routine, and then get back to now action?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We got home at 3 o'clock on Saturday night, and I was in here at 7. So I don't, it is what it is from a coach's perspective and what the routine looks like and how that goes. The players, same thing. I mean, their routine is the routine. Obviously having a little bit of time you wouldn't want to take that trip and play on a 7-day window. I mean, if that's what you're referring to. So, I mean, that game being where it happened to fall in the schedule versus not playing until November 5th is definitely, a needed break off the back end of that trip. So, but, challenges are what they are. I mean, you got to dissect the tape. You got to see what your opponent is going to put on tape and what they're going to present to you and put your guys in position where hopefully they can go play very well and you can get a win.